Okay, let's dive into this. If you really want to achieve something massive in life, you need a brilliant mind steering the ship, right? And today, in this explainer, we are unpacking exactly that. Luis de la Fuente's absolute tactical masterclass for Spain in the 2026 World Cup semifinal. Because let's be clear, this wasn't just a win. This was a 2-0 takedown that sent absolute shockwaves through the footballing world, completely dismantling a heavily favored French side. To truly understand the magnitude of this result, we really have to look at history. We've seen generations of teams dubbed as these unbeatable favorites completely stumble right before the finish line. We're talking about the legendary Hungarian team of 1954, Johan Cruyff's Total Football Netherlands in 74, Zico's Brazil in 82, and Italy in 94. These were literally the greatest teams of their generations. And now, well, we have to add the 2026 French squad to this list. They were widely considered head and shoulders above everyone else, playing a near-flawless tournament, but they were unexpectedly knocked out in a match that we're going to be talking about for decades. Section 1. The 0.3 XG phenomenon. Now, what's absolutely wild about this is this single tiny number, 0.3. That was France's expected goals for the entire match. It is actually the lowest recorded expected goals for any team in a FIFA World Cup knockout game since 1966. Spain didn't just stop France from scoring, they didn't even let them create a single real chance. Just in case you're not totally familiar with the stats, a 0.3 expected goals basically means that, based on the positions France was shooting from, they mathematically didn't even deserve a third of a goal. It is an absolute testament to the total, suffocating defensive dominance by Spain. And keep in mind exactly who we are talking about here. Look at this list of French firepower. Kylian Mbappe, arguably the greatest World Cup player of all time. Ousmane Dembele, the current Ballon d'Or holder. Michael Olise, who was totally on track to be the player of the tournament. And impact players like Bradley Barcola. This attacking frontline was supposed to be literally unstoppable. Yet Spain completely starved them of service. Mbappe and Dembele were forced to drop incredibly deep just to get a touch on the ball, and Olise was practically erased from the game. Next up, winning the midfield battle. So before the match, the big question on everyone's mind was who would perfectly complement Rodri's deep-lying tempo control. And De La Fuente made this massive, bold decision to actually bench Pedri and start Fabian Ruiz alongside Dani Olmo. Why? Because Ruiz brings this intense physicality and relentless pressing. On the other side, French manager Didier Deschamps made a fatal flaw. He benched his best midfielder of the tournament, Manu Kone, opting instead for Aurélien Tchouaméni. And while Tchouaméni is incredibly experienced, for sure, he was left completely isolated in a very static system. Because France's midfield structure was so static, Spain mercilessly exploited it. Spain's fullbacks, Marc Cucurella and Pedro Porro, were constantly inverting, which basically means they tucked inside towards the center of the pitch. This created constant 2-on-1 and 3-on-1 overloads, so wherever the ball was, Spain just magically had an extra man. Whenever France won the ball back, they had zero forward passing options because Spain was completely suffocating them. It was a literal tactical stranglehold. Which brings us to the crucial moment, the turning point. Let's move to the exact sequence and see how this builds, because it's fascinating. First, France suffers a brutal blow when their star defender, William Saliba, picks up an unfortunate injury and has to leave the pitch. Spain immediately capitalizes on that disruption. Dani Olmo brilliantly draws Maxence Lacroix out of position, just completely sucking him into the midfield space. This opens up a massive, gaping hole in the French defense, and Pedro Porro perfectly exploits it, driving right through to score the second goal. That sequence completely killed the game. France was absolutely bewildered. Moving right along to Spain's defensive wall. Just look at the standout performances across this backline. You have Unai Simon playing a flawless sweeper-keeper role, aggressively coming out for clearances, and making sure he wasn't even tested by the French forwards. Aymeric Laporte provided this seamless, veteran leadership, playing as if he's still in the top-level European Champions League week in and week out. Marc Cucurella had an insane work rate, just shutting down his entire side of the pitch. And Pedro Porro, who some thought might actually be a weak link against Mbappe, ended up scoring the match-killing goal. But amidst all these incredible performances, the tactical genius of the midfield, the heroics of the fullbacks, the undeniable flair of Lamine Yamal, who was the true architect of this victory? Who really held the line against the most dangerous attackers on earth? And this brilliantly illustrates the answer: Pau Cubarsí. As the quote points out, at just 19 years old, this center back played with the calmness and composure of a 10-year veteran. He literally didn't make a single wrong decision. He was physical, he was aerially dominant, and his ball-playing ability was absolutely essential for Spain's setup. You know, we talk so much about the 19-year-old Lamine Yamal, but Cubarsí deserves exactly as much praise. Shutting down Mbappe, Dembele, and Olise to a 0.3 xG at 19 years old is nothing short of legendary.
And finally, the road to the final.
So, the crucial point to take away here is how different this team is. When we think of classic Spain, like from 2008 to 2012, we think of pure tiki-taka, right? Free-flowing expressive attackers holding 80% possession and just passing you to death. Well, this 2026 Spain team is a different beast. Yes, they are highly technical and they keep the ball brilliantly, but their true foundation is a rock-solid defense that has only conceded a single goal all tournament. They are incredibly physical, they press relentlessly, and you simply cannot outmuscle them. Luis de la Fuente has built a dominant, pragmatic machine. Which leaves us with the ultimate question as we look ahead. Spain has booked their ticket, but who will they face in the grand finale? On the other side of the bracket, we have an intensely fierce, true 50-50 semifinal clash between England and Argentina. It is a matchup rich with historical context and intense rivalry. So will it be the English stepping up to challenge Spain's defensive wall, or will Argentina bring their fiery passion to the ultimate showdown? One thing is for sure, whoever makes it through is going to have to figure out how to crack this seemingly unbeatable Spanish tactical masterclass. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and let's see exactly how history unfolds in the final.